Family. What does it mean? How does it look like? We have seen what family looks like when the members are tied by bond most unnatural. We have seen Claudius, Gertrude, and Hamlet struggling to make their family become functional and failing. But what about bonds that are natural? What struggles are hidden there? Let me take you to one such family that is apparently tied by bonds of natural affection. But who knows what lies underneath? Let's look at Polonius and his children in William Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 3. The setting is a small room in Polonius's house. On stage, we see Laertes and Ophelia have entered. Laertes, we know, is planning to go back from Denmark, and this scene becomes kind of a leave-taking scene from his family members, which is his sister and then his father. My necessaries are embarked. Embarked means they are set on the ship. Farewell. And sister, as the winds give benefit and convoy is assistant, do not sleep, but let me hear from you. So he says that he's about to set sail because everything looks fine, and Ophelia should not forget to write to him. Do you doubt that? For Hamlet and the trifling of his favor, hold it a fashion and a toy in blood. Suddenly, Laertes begins to speak about Hamlet. He says that Hamlet's affection for Ophelia is a trifling thing. It's not something steady. It's temporary and unreliable. It's like a toy in blood, related more to hormones than to real, honest emotions. A violet in the youth of primy nature, forward, not permanent, sweet, not lasting. So Laertes' tone is that of an older brother who is protective of his sister and who wants his sister to be away from Hamlet. Now there might be several reasons for it, and he gives them one by one. For Laertes, Hamlet's love is like the perfume and suppliance of a minute, no more. So it's nothing permanent. No more but so. Ophelia is not aggressive in her replies. She is presented as a very soft-spoken girl. But even when she's soft-spoken, she is asking questions, trying to know the reason why Laertes is so much against Hamlet. Think it no more. For nature, crescent, does not grow alone in thews and bulk. Thews and bulk means body, muscle. So when you grow, it's not just that your muscles grow, your bodily strength grows, but what else grows? But as this temple waxes, temple is this body, as it waxes, so he is using the comparison with the moon. Just like the crescent moon becomes the full moon, so a human being grows through youth to become a mature human being. So when that temple, that body waxes, just like a moon becomes a full moon, waxing into a full moon, the inward service of the mind and soul grows wide withal. So it's not just your physical body that grows, but also your spiritual self that grows. Perhaps he loves you now, and now no soil nor cautel doth besmirch the virtue of his will. Cautel means tarnish, craftiness, trickery. So at this moment it can be that Hamlet has no negative element in his affection towards you. Besmirch means to discolor, to pollute in that sense. So at this moment, Hamlet's love is perhaps free of contamination, in short. But you must fear his greatness weighed. That is, Hamlet is not an ordinary person. He is a prince. So he has a great social standing. His greatness weighed, his will is not his own. So a normal person can take certain decisions based on what he wills, what he wants. But Hamlet's will, Hamlet's desire is controlled and governed by the will of many other factors or people. His will is not his own, for he himself is subject to his birth. Now, we might feel that a king or a princely person is a freer citizen. It's not so, because they are tied to their positions. So Hamlet is like a slave to his own birth, like a subject to his birth. He may not, as unvalued persons do. Normal people are referred to as unvalued, who do not have that high social position, carve for himself. So he cannot decide for himself. For on his choice depends the safety and health of this whole state. And therefore must his choice be circumscribed. Circumscribed means cut down. His choice be modified unto the voice and yielding of that body whereof he is the head. So Hamlet is like the head of the state. Our wills are usually tied to our individual bodies, but Hamlet's life, Hamlet's decisions are tied to the state. So it's not just an individual we're talking about here. Then, if he says he loves you, it fits your wisdom so far to believe it, as he in his particular act and place may give his saying deed. So he as a person can live up to his promises, his commitments, that he says he loves you. Hamlet as a person might act accordingly, which is no further than the main voice of Denmark goes withal. But you have to keep in mind that he is not just an individual, an ordinary individual. Then weigh what loss your honor may sustain. So if he gets back from his promise because of the requirements of the state, of governance, then your honor will be at stake. And of course, in Elizabethan time, you can imagine what huge value was given to women's honor in connection with their relationship choices. So Laertes is trying to give Ophelia kind of a reality check here. If to credent ear you list his songs, credent means attentive, if you are eagerly listening and believing in his words, or lose your heart, or your chaste treasure open. Chaste treasure here directly refers to Ophelia's sexual self, that is, if she engages with Hamlet sexually. To his unmustered importunity. Fear it, Ophelia, fear it, my dear sister, and keep you in the rear of your affection, out of the shot and danger of desire. So Laertes is really concerned about Ophelia's social honor and prestige, because he knows almost for certain that Hamlet will not be able or won't be willing to have a lasting relationship with his sister. You can find his words very forbearing, overpowering, but you have to place him in the context, in the times they were living. And his words are born not so much out of cruelty. He doesn't want his sister to be away from men in general. He is particular about this case because he's talking about Hamlet as a prince, not Hamlet just as a suitor to Ophelia. We don't know how he would have reacted if Ophelia had chosen any random person who is not related to the king. But since we don't know that, and if we take him for what he is saying, then Laertes' objection is solely because it is Hamlet with whom Ophelia is having a relationship. The chariest maid is prodigal enough. Chariest means cautious. Even if you are cautious, you might end up losing your honor. The chariest maid is prodigal enough if she unmask her beauty to the moon. Virtue itself escapes not calumnious strokes. So even virtue is not safe from false accusations. So why take chances? The canker galls the infants of the spring. Infants of the spring, the young plants. The young plants are often affected by the canker, the worms who feed on young plants and saplings. So canker is like this disease which damages young plants before even they bloom. Too oft before their buttons be disclosed, and in the morn and liquid dew of youth, contagious blasphements are most imminent. So Laertes gives reference to the world of plants, saying that even in plants, diseases come during early stages. Be wary then. Best safety lies in fear. So if you are careful, if you are fearful and you know the dangers, then you will be safe. Youth to itself rebels, though none else near. Because usually when people are young, they often act against their own good, because it's normal for young people to act aggressively, and when they find no target, they act against themselves. So he says that, see, you are going through a very tender age, a very vulnerable time, so you have to be very careful. Ophelia does not openly disagree with Laertes. She is rather politely agreeing with him. I shall the effect of this good lesson keep. I will think about it. I will try to follow what you're saying as watchman to my heart. Now, it's very interesting how this whole concept of watchman guarding somebody's desire, all these things are put into a scene which is completely built on domestic interactions. Earlier, we had soldiers and actual guards, all right, in previous scenes. And even in the court of Claudius, we have seen that people are working in a very official manner. We have guards, we have watchmen. But in domestic sphere also, the recurrent use of this idea that you need to be always alert. You have to watch out for yourself, be your own watchman. It's as if Denmark is becoming a state where protection is no more available, not on the political level or the public level, neither is it available on the personal level. So it's an all-pervading, serious disease. It's like as if the canker has polluted the whole of Denmark. And this idea will recur even in the next scenes, as you will be able to see very soon. But good my brother, do not, as some ungracious pastors do, show me the steep and thorny way to heaven. So she's saying that don't be like that preacher who talks about all hard, difficult ways to live in order to reach heaven. No, what preachers say, don't do this, don't do that, keep you away from all goodies of life. So Ophelia is saying that don't be like that preacher unless you also follow the same life. Whilst like a puffed and reckless libertine, himself the primrose path of dalliance treads. And this primrose path, it also occurs in Macbeth. So this life is like a primrose path, full of enjoyment. So she's saying that you should also then forget about desire, forget about entertainment. If you want me to have a bland life while you are being a libertine, enjoying yourself, this won't do. So it's like she's quietly challenging his authority and pointing out the hypocrisy. Also that, this double standard of men can do anything and women are supposed to follow the rules. And Rex not his own reed. So if you do not follow your own advice, don't advise that to me. Oh, fear me not. And Laertes is not really very ready to talk about his life at the moment. I stayed too long, but here my father comes. So then Polonius comes and he also gives his blessings to Laertes, who is about to leave. A double blessing is a double grace. Occasion smiles upon a second leave, which means that Polonius had already said goodbye to Laertes, and now he comes back to possibly check in on Ophelia, and he finds that his son is not yet gone. So it's the second time he's able to say goodbye to him. And he makes full utilization of the situation. Yet here, Laertes, about for shame, why are you still here? You should be, on board by now. The wind sits in the shoulder of your sail, and you are stayed for, everybody is waiting for you. There, my blessing with thee, and these few precepts in thy memory, see thou character. So he, along with his blessings, also gives some tips and strategies, some life advice to his son. And trust me, these life advice or set of life advices that we get from Polonius, they have become like maxims, often quoted while advising something to someone. And you can look at these sets of words as something that naturally is given to children by parents. Most of the instructions that we get from Polonius, that how Laertes should behave, these are born out of parental concern for his well-being. What does he want Laertes to do? Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought his act. So he wants Laertes to be cautious, self-controlled in not just speech but also action. So when you have some thoughts, you don't have to necessarily speak that out. And maybe your thoughts concern some action. You don't have to always give action to what you're thinking. So he is professing self-control. Earlier, we have seen Laertes doing almost a similar thing to Ophelia. And in family, it happens. Whoever is older to you, father, elder brother, elder sister, mother, whoever is older in age gets to give you advice. Doesn't matter if they are actually wiser than you. It's like it is their birthright. I'm your father, I can advise you. I'm your elder brother, I can advise you, not the other way around. Okay, this is family, it doesn't have logic, it has only hierarchy of age. Anyway, the next thing that he says is that be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar. Now Polonius wants to control what kind of friends Laertes is supposed to have. He says don't be too intimate with everybody. You have to be cautious while making friends. Those friends thou hast and their adoption tried. So if you have seen that a friend has stayed with you in troubling times, you have tried their loyalty, grapple them to thy soul with hoops of steel, then don't let them go. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment of each new hatched, unfledged comrade. Fledging is like this stage when a bird actually grows through its so-called teenage time and becomes a mature bird. So it's the stage when the feathers have not yet come. So new hatched. That means new friendships should be treated with caution. This is what your parents also must say to you a lot, right? That you have to be very careful about which friends you are having and don't trust them too quickly. Beware of entrance to a quarrel. Suppose you see that there is a disagreement. You should wait and stop from getting into that quarrel. But in case you do get into it, then stick to your ground, hold your ground. But being in, bear it that the opposed may beware of thee. So once you are engaged in any kind of controversy, any kind of quarrel, you have to make your opponents have respect towards you. So don't just, randomly enter into a quarrel and just leave quickly. Don't do that. So we see that the kind of advice that Polonius is giving is more about reputation, public image than moral principle. Alright, although he begins as if he is giving some moral advice, but he ends up giving him some social tips and tricks. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Thy ear means listen to everyone, but don't give your voice to everyone. Don't speak to everyone. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy. Now financial advice. Do not, go overboard when you are spending, but not expressed in fancy. So don't buy cheap stuff. Buy good things which are worth it, but don't go beyond what you can afford. Rich, not gaudy. For the apparel oft proclaims the man. Don't wear all flashy stuff and things. Wear good things, expensive stuff, but don't show off in fancy things, because that doesn't actually increase your respectability. So Polonius is more about what people think of you than what you feel like doing. And they in France of the best rank and station are of a most select and generous chief in that. We all know about French fashion, how important fashion is to French people. Neither a borrower nor a lender be. Now in the process of buying expensive stuff, don't get broke. Don't just go on borrowing things from people. And don't lend money also, because that's also going to cause a lot of headache in getting it back. For loan oft loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. If you go on borrowing, then your husbandry, the way you manage your finances, that will be affected. So this is solid financial advice. This above all, to thine own self be true. This line is completely contradicting what he has been saying so far, because although this line, to thine own self be true, is noble, philosophical, but when you place it beside the rest of the speech, it becomes ironic. Polonius has spent the entire speech teaching Laertes how not to be himself, how to be somebody for the sake of social position, social prestige, image, not how to follow inner truth. So it's like Shakespeare is possibly exposing the gap between moral slogans and everyday social calculation. Anyway, he gives Laertes his blessings, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. Farewell, my blessing, season this in thee. So seasoning is like you add spices to process food to make it taste good. So his blessings is going to be like the added salt and spice, the seasoning, so that Laertes can accept the otherwise bitter advice that he has given. Alright, so blessings are going to smoothen out the roughness of the rest of the speech. Most humbly do I take my leave, my lord. The time invites you, go your servants' tent. So Laertes is supposed to go away now. But before leaving, he once again tries to remind Ophelia of what he has said. Farewell, Ophelia, and remember well what I have said to you. 'Tis in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key of it. Farewell. And he leaves. Now, Polonius, who we have understood by now, he's a very controlling figure. He wants to control the lives of his children, what they are doing, how they are behaving, just like a very careful parent. He is quite intrigued by what conversation has taken place between his son and daughter that appears to be so serious, and he asks, what is it Ophelia had said to you? So please you, something touching the Lord Hamlet. So it was about Hamlet. Marry, well, be thought, 'tis told me. So he has come to know he had very oft of late given private time to you. So again the same thing, same set of questions, and for Ophelia, it's like pretty tiring once she has to explain the whole thing to the brother and now the father. And from the tone that Polonius has from the very start, we can understand where this is going. And you yourself have of your audience been most free and bounteous. So you have given him a lot of time, very bounteous, very free with your time with him. If it be so, as so 'tis put on me, and that in way of caution I must tell you, you do not understand yourself so clearly, and it behoves my daughter and your honor. Honor is the word again. What is between you? Give me up the truth. So what's going on? Tell me. He hath, my lord, of late made many tenders of his affection to me. Tenders of his affection means he has given me statements showing that he loves me. So he's given proposals. Affection. You speak like a green girl. Green is like not ripe. Green is like innocent, inexperienced, okay? Unsifted in such perilous circumstances. So you don't have any idea what's going on in this world, and these are perilous, dangerous circumstances. Do you believe his tenders, as you call them? So you're calling his words, his addresses to you as tenders. So do you believe in these tenders? Now the word tender, it also has a commercial meaning related to the world of commerce. Tender, where any supplier or vendor gives a proposal that I will be giving you this and this stuff, and that is called a tender. It gives like a cost sheet, what's going to be the expense and all. That is a tender. Now, the word tender is also used in an emotional context, like tender affection for somebody. And this is where Shakespeare is showing us the powerful usage of pun. The word tender, taken from one angle, is an extremely emotional term, and from the other angle, it's an extremely commercial term. And Polonius is saying, do you believe his tenders, as you call them? So, what is the angle that they're meaning here? I do not know, my lord, what I should think. Mary, I'll teach you. Think yourself a baby. Of course, she is his child, and no matter how much she grows, she'll always be a baby. This is how parents talk, especially overprotective parents like Polonius. That you have taken these tenders for true pay. Now, we understand that Polonius is using the word tender in a commercial sense. That you have considered these promises as actual payment. Okay? But he has not actually paid you. Actual payment means really getting married to her. This is according to Polonius. Which are not sterling. Tender yourself more dearly. Here dearly means have a greater price, greater value in your mind for yourself. Dear means more expensive. Okay? Or not to crack the wind of the poor phrase, running it thus, you'll tender me a fool. So if you don't behave in a way I want you to, then, well, that's going to be foolish. My lord, he hath importuned me with love in honourable fashion. Fashion you may call it, go to. And hath given countenance to his speech, my lord, with almost all the holy vows of heaven. So it's not just he is speaking to me, he is promising me in the name of God. Holy vows are given. Spring just to catch woodcocks. So Hamlet's words are like traps meant to catch foolish birds. I do know when the blood burns, how prodigal the soul lends the tongue vows. So when somebody is having desire, when the blood burns, then thus tongue becomes very prodigal. That is, the tongue speaks freely. When you have desire, you have no control over what you are saying. So you say all wrong things and false things. These blazes, daughter, giving more light than heat, extinct in both, even in their promise, as it is a making, you must not take for fire. So vows made in desire should not be trusted. From this time, be somewhat scanter in your maiden presence. Do not just go on meeting him so freely. Offer him less time. So she should make herself less available. Scantier. Set your entreatments at a higher rate than a command to parley. So whenever he wants to meet you, don't just agree. This will increase your value. For Lord Hamlet, believe so much in him that he is young and with a larger tether, may he walk than may be given you. Tether is like a rope that is tied. So if Ophelia gives him a freer movement, then he might do things which are not even allowed by Ophelia. In short, he wants her to not allow Hamlet anything, because once she allows him something, he will exploit Ophelia more freely. In few, Ophelia, do not believe his vows, for they are brokers. So he continues with that commercial sets of images, metaphors, which shows that Polonius is always having this financial bent of mind. So business and finances are always moving around in his vocabulary. It's like love is treated like a commercial transaction for him. For they are brokers not of that dye which their investments show, but mere implorators of unholy suits. So brokers are usually not to be trusted because they give us false promises. So he wants Ophelia to be cautious when she is dealing with Hamlet. Breathing like sanctified and pious bawds, the better to beguile. Beguile means to deceive. This is how people do, in business. And you have to be careful because this is how people do even in love. This is for all. I would not in plain terms from this time forth have you so slender any moment leisure. So I don't want you to spend time in this lazy manner as to give words or talk with the Lord Hamlet. Look to it, I charge you. Come your ways. So this is not advice, this is order. He reduces love to lust and assumes, takes it for granted that Hamlet is going to deceive Ophelia. Nobody is asking about what she is feeling, neither her brother nor her father. Her feelings are ignored. It's like kind of a silence is enforced on her. And this speech is also kind of exposing double standard, just like it happened with Laertes. While Hamlet's freedom is accepted, taken for granted, Ophelia's actions are always put under scrutiny. This moment is important because Ophelia's voice is gradually taken away even before the tragedy begins. So it's not just Hamlet who leads to the heartbreak in her. It's like she was never given any opportunity, even inside her own family, to speak out what she really wants in life. So, although we do see that this family is working with a lot of affection, we won't call it dysfunctional, at least, not like the family of Hamlet at the moment. But still, here also we see that control is replacing affection. But then we think that isn't that the case with most of the families we see around us? Even sadly, sometimes our own families without us realizing. And the clear double standards are established here. And there is also this central concern that runs through the play, the idea of words versus truth. Both Laertes and Polonius, they distrust language, especially words of love. But ironically, they are depending on their own language to convince Ophelia about something. So this is preparing us for a world where language is used more to conceal than to express. So Act 1, Scene 3 completes the emotional preparation in the audience. By the time the ghost speaks, we have already witnessed a court and then a family ruled by caution, suspicion, forced obedience. And we also see how Ophelia's feelings are never asked for. They are managed. Don't forget to subscribe to us because I'll be meeting you very, very soon with the next scene where we will be taken back to another midnight encounter with the ghost. Till then, stay happy, stay thoughtful. This is Monami Mukherjee signing off. Bye-bye.